Oh, all right. What's up, everybody? Let me just change the chat settings. Hey, if you can hear me and see me okay, just say hello in the chat, please, just so I know that we are good to go. We're recording. Cool. Okay, awesome. All right. Recording, chat's working, a lot of people flowing in. Good to see everyone. Cool. So I know some people will be floating in. I'm just gonna get it started, just because we've got a lot of ground to cover. So I'm gonna go ahead and love the new hairstyle. Thank you. Yeah, it's it's what I'm rocking. Okay, cool. Let's start it up. I'm gonna turn my video off just because it's kind of like annoying seeing my face in the thing. Yeah. Okay. We'll go from there. All right. So here we are. 5 steps to $1 million list, $1 million email list, how to grow your list to make more sales in every form. Super excited to be presenting this today because this is what I do every single day. I do it for myself, obviously, with my own business, but I work with a lot of clients, and this is kind of like my life's work. So, pretty exciting stuff. So, just in case you're kind of new to me, new to my world, I'm best known as an email marketer and copywriter. I do a lot of coaching and consulting for brands and founders as well. I have a small agency where I do some done for you writing still, with a handful of clients, and always taking on new clients, but usually keep a very small roster of people that I just really enjoy working with. I've also created probably about 15 digital products, at least for myself and many others for other people, and I've written 4 books. So they're all available on Amazon. Maybe some of you have some. They're all pretty good. What I want to do is show you a lot of stuff that I did in my business to, grow go from 0 to 7 figures with my own email list. But, there's a lot of people out there who are always like, oh, look at me, I'm so awesome. Like, look at what I did for myself. And that's cool, right? But I've worked with a lot of top brands, and a lot of the stuff that I do with those brands are things that I do with my own email list and vice versa. I kind of use my list as a laboratory and then take a lot of the concepts that worked into the private client work that I do. So some of the brands that you might have seen some of my work in before, a lot of people know Carnivore Snacks. I write a lot of the or all the funny emails, not all of the emails, but the funny ones. Those ones are for me, and I do the SMS, and I've been with them since they were pre-revenue. Started them off with a Kickstarter where they did 200K in 30 days, and now they did, I think, 18 or 19 million last year, and we'll probably hopefully double that this year. Um, you know, Jeff Walker, I worked with him for 2 years on his copy team. I worked with John Assaraf from NeuroGym, Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad. Perennial Pastors Ranch, I was the CMO of their brand for 8 months and grew them 525% in that time. Jay Campbell, there's a lot of different, all different kinds of brands, physical product brands, digital product brands, some software here and there. And yeah, so I just want you to know that the stuff that I'm showing you is not just like, hey, you have one use case. It's like, no, I kind of do this across many different industries, and I think that's just super important. So the reason why you're probably here is because you have an email list, or you've been trying to grow an email list, or you're thinking about growing an email list. And as you've been doing that, you have, and I have a typo on the slide, you've probably realized that list growth is kind of hard, right? And why is it so hard? Well, there's a few different reasons why. In the year 2025, there's a lot of just media fatigue. There's just AI slop content everywhere. And now the barrier to entry to creating any kind of content online is so low. You don't even need you could use ChatGPT for free and it could spin up a bunch of AI slop content, and you're seeing the effects of that on whatever social media platforms that you hang out on. So there's just more noise than ever before, and people are skeptical and tend to tune out faster when, everything in their feed kind of looks like slop. On top of that, there are, excuse me, a lot of competitors in your space. There was a saying, I forget who said it the other day, but they said it's never been easier to start a business, but it's never been tougher to grow a business. And that is true. The barrier to entry to starting a business is so low. I mean, I started in 2013. It was hard. I remember the first ever info product I bought was like $50, and it was like how to create a WordPress website. It was like I had no idea what I was doing. And that was actually a pretty good product. And I like made my own website, and then everyone was using Optimized Press as a theme. Like it was a completely different world. Nowadays, there's a million softwares. You can get things going easy. So as a result, there's just so many more people that you have to compete against. On top of that, markets are maturing. Like I said, when I started in 2013 online, there were people doing online business, but it was all these markets were still very, very early. You could win by just being marginally better than everyone else. Like it wasn't, you didn't have like the best marketers in the world competing for your attention. I mean, there were some really high level people, but if you just had any basic kind of lead magnet, you were going to get email subscribers. People were like starved for information. Now the opposite is kind of true. And on top of that, likely if you've been in business for a while, your business has probably gotten too complex. It's probably gotten complex to the point where you actually can't grow because there's just too many moving pieces. It's kind of like if you ever played that game Rush Hour when you're trying to get the one car out and you got to arrange, move all the other cars out of the way and you're kind of stuck and you're not sure what the path is forward. Maybe you have a lot of offers or different funnels and team members and platforms, and you're all over the place, and your messaging is diluted, and you're just not as nimble as you once were. And it's funny, like it really hit me. I was talking to a buddy of mine who has an eight-figure business, and I was telling him about, how I run my business, with an email a day. And that's kind of like the engine that drives my business. And he was like, oh man, he goes, I miss when my business was that simple. He's like, I can't even send an email now. I wouldn't like, I have so many layers in the way of me like getting into my email software and like actually sending something out. And there's a promo calendar and there's team and blah, blah, blah. And he was kind of like nostalgic for the days when he could just wake up and like fire off an email and make some sales. And it was kind of fun. I mean, he does fine. Like, it's not like he's going to burn everything down, but it was just kind of funny for him to say to someone who's, objectively successful in online business to say, man, like I really missed those days. And it is kind of fun. So let's talk about growth. It seems hard, but what if it didn't have to be? There's this great quote from Steve Jobs, and there's many quotes like this out there. I like this one, but innovation comes from saying no to 1,000 things a week to make sure we don't get on the wrong track or try to do too much. It's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important. And what I have noticed is that I've coached thousands of business owners, e-commerce brand owners, digital product owners, coaches, consultants, service providers, freelancers, copywriters, all different types of business, some brick and mortar. Like, like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years. And the one theme that I've seen over and over and over again is people are just doing so much shit that just does not make them money. They're like, I'm working 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, and like I'm stuck at this income level. I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to double your output. What are you going to work 100 hours a week? Are you going to work 140 hours a week? Like, obviously, at some point, it doesn't work, right? So, what I always do with my clients, the first thing I do is I say, let's do an assessment of like what is actually making you money in your business and what is actually not making you money. And it's kind of like crazy, but if you just stop doing the things that don't make you money and you start doing more of the things that do make you money, you tend to make more money. And I know it's like an earth-shattering revelation. I tell this to people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I never looked at it that way." I'm like, "Well, it's kind of pretty simple when you actually break it down." But this is the trap that people fall into because there's a million platforms and techniques and funnels and growth hacks and blah blah blah. And a good friend of mine, Justin Brook, he's one of the top media paid advertising guys in the world. I've learned so much from him. Super smart dude, love his stuff. He put out this tweet the other day, and it was so funny. Like, in 20 years of business, he's worked with all these high level people, been to masterminds, read all these business books, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to growing your list and making offers. And that has been true. That has been true for myself. That has been true for the clients that I work with. If you just focus on list growth and you focus on having really solid stuff that people actually want to buy, you tend to do pretty well. I mean, you could actually have room to mess up a lot of other things in your business if you just focus on those two things. So, I have to include this proof element. I don't really like bragging about myself and my numbers. I kind of actually hate when people do this, but, I have been pretty successful at this. Business Insider wrote an article about me a while back. This was actually published December 1st. So this is the trailing 12-month revenue total at the end of the year. I hit 996 top line. And how did I do that while other people in my industry aren't coming anywhere near close to that? Well, I did that because I have an email list and a lot of these other people don't, or their list is small and they don't create any leverage in their business. So I have the sauce not only for myself, that's the one thing you see a lot of people. They're like, I'm such a great, copywriter, service provider, whatever. And it's always like a cobbler's kids having a shoes situation. It's like, not only do I do the high level stuff for clients, I do it for myself too. So just have to say this so you understand I'm qualified to teach this. This is a picture of me and my family. The important thing to me with my business is that you can make a lot of money doing a lot of different stuff, right? You can have a startup, you can take VC money, you could work a 996 like you're in some, sweatshop in China. That's like the hot new thing in the tech world is, oh, you got to work at 996. You got to work 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. You got to not do anything except focus on your work. It's like that is the last thing that I want. I will never do that. We just had our third kid a couple months ago, daughter. Um, and my family's important to me. So my business has to revolve around my lifestyle. I'm not going to build some business where I'm going to become a slave to it. I'm going to be chained to the computer. And I don't really think you have to. I don't think you have to do that in order to hit good numbers. Now, when you're studying business or personal finance, or, there's always kind of like a Pareto distribution. And this is a pyramid that I saw first in Dan Kennedy's stuff, and he talks about like the wealth pyramid, or I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? And he says, 20% of people are broke and they're always going to be broke. 60% of people are struggling financially endlessly. It's a funny way to put it. 15% make good living, 4% are prosperous, and 1% are rich. Now, what I believe is that in today's day and age, you can kind of choose where you want to be in this pyramid, right? No one's really stopping you. We have the internet, it's kind of democratized business for just about everyone, right? Really, it's just up to you and your ideas and the work that you want to put in and how you decide to build what you build. I mean, you could choose to make a little bit of money or you could choose to make a lot of money. I used to be a public school teacher. So if I stayed a public school teacher my entire life, I probably would have been either at the bottom in the broke category or struggling financially endlessly. And actually, the very first day back in 2013, when I got my teaching job and I started, I remember I came home and I said, ooh, I made a mistake. I went to college for 6 years. I was on the Van Wilder plan, went to grad school, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'll be a teacher. I want to be a wrestling coach. And that's all I really cared about. I didn't really want to do anything. Like, everyone's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, nothing. I don't want to do anything. Um, but as soon as I came home from school that first day, I was like, oh, damn, I made a huge mistake. And I cannot picture doing this for the next 40 years of my life. And I remember when you're a teacher, they have this like salary step guide. It's in your contract. And what it does is it shows you every single dollar you're going to make every year for basically the next 40 years or however long you work. And I looked at that number and I totaled it up and I said, I don't think I like this number. I think I want to play a different game here. So that day when I came home, I started messing around online and started figuring out how to actually, build an online business. And I became a copywriter, eventually launched an agency, and then, I had my email list going and then eventually grew that. And the rest is kind of history. But I think that you could choose. And I think that the best online business owners tend to do stuff that other people aren't doing. They don't follow the herd. They don't care about being on 7 different platforms and vanity metrics. They care about a couple things. What are they doing differently? They care about building their lists and then selling them stuff. And I think that if you focus on those two things, you're probably going to have some pretty good success. I mean, that's kind of the recipe here. At the end of the day, all roads lead back to your email list. Like, why are you on social media? Why are you doing that? The reason you're doing that is so that you can capture traffic and own it, right? The reason why you're posting a reel a day, the reason why you're doing 5 tweets a day, the reason why you're doing a YouTube channel, the reason why you're doing all this stuff that you're doing, and the reason why you're running ads, all that stuff is that you can have traffic that you own so you can stop paying other people for your traffic either through expanding capital or expanding sweat equity in terms of time that it takes to create content. So this is super duper important because if you want to make sales, if you want to make money, it's going to come from somewhere. It's either going to come from the traffic that you own, your email list, or it's going to come from someone else's list. Facebook is a list. Facebook is a list of 3 billion people. If you want to make sales from Facebook, you either have to pay them in terms of content that you create, or you have to pay them in terms of ads, right? As an example. So the whole goal of everything you're trying to do online is to build your list so that you could sell them your stuff. Pretty simple, right? When you have a healthy online business, it's going to be infinitely scalable. You're going to have a linear or decreasing time investment. What does that mean? That means, like, for me, for example, like, I wake up and I write an email every day. The email takes 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If it's a long 1,500 word email, maybe it takes me half an hour or 40 minutes. Sometimes I'll write an email. It takes me 3 minutes, right? So it's usually clocking in at 40 minutes or less. Usually on average, I'd say about 10 to 20 minutes in terms of me just waking up and banging out an email. I do this every single day. As my list grows, the time for me to write that email does not increase. It is a linear time investment, right? I know I block off the first hour of the morning, even though I don't need the whole hour. And I say, that's my time to run my business. Okay. So very important to understand. You are going to be able, with a healthy online business, to multiply capital. That means money is going to come in and you're going to have a decision to make. You're going to say, how do I turn this money into more money, right? That's what multiplying capital is. That's what reinvesting capital means. Or you could pay yourself, and that's another thing too. And that's probably something that a lot of people want to do, right? That's why we got into business in the first place. Your healthy online business is going to be list based. Again, you don't want to continue to pay everyone else in the world for the ability to market. You want to pay an acquisition cost one time and then own the relationship forever so you can continue to make sales without a customer acquisition cost, which eats significantly into your P&L. You want to produce massive cash flow because, again, what is the point of having a business if you don't actually make any money? Like, that's what we're trying to do. And again, I look at people's businesses and I'm like, what are you doing all day? What are you doing all week? Like, do you want to make money? Yes or no? Like, it's very simple. Like, build a list of people, who have a problem, create a solution, then sell them the solution. And I believe this stuff should be fun. Like, my business is fun. I mean, are there times when I want to put my fist through the computer? Absolutely. Are there times when I feel like I'm the king of the world? Absolutely. There's ups and there's downs, but in general, it's fun. It's fun to have my own thing. It's fun to have my own business. And it's fun to be able to be your own boss. And that is the thing that is most important for me. Like, I cannot work for other people. It just like gives me the heebie-jeebies. And maybe you're the same way. So it is my belief that your profit, not your, I mean, your revenue, yeah, sure, but your profit is going to grow when you get better at email marketing. And again, it all comes down to, are you able to make sales without having to pay someone else to make those sales happen? That's the big important thing here. Your email list is going to be the greatest asset in your business. It is going to help build a moat around your castle, right? When people like you and they like buying from you and they stick around for years, even decades, and continuously buy from you, then you're in a pretty good situation, right? And you can create this. How do you create a moat? You start digging. That's what you start doing. All right. For most people, most of the profit in their business is going to be hidden in their email list. Oh, can you guys hear me? Sorry. Hopefully my internet's not like crapping out. That would be really unfortunate. Okay, cool. Um, when you have an email list or an email-based business, it's kind of simple and easy. It's like, what do you got to do every day? You got to make sure emails go out, and you could send those out, or you could eventually automate. And we'll talk about automation a little bit later today as well. And there's also asymmetric upside because, again, you are in control and you can grow your email list as big as you want. The only limit is really the limits that you put on yourself. I mean, there's millions, hundreds of millions, billions of people out there who have email. It's not like, I mean, how many customers do you need? You own the asymmetric upside. And that was the one thing for me, like as a freelancer, as a copywriter, and I know not everyone's a freelancer, but maybe you've done services or you kind of have you've been in a more one-to-one model with your business and you want to move to a more one-to-many model. Um, it just kind of stinks when like you're doing all this good work and you don't own the asymmetric upside. You don't have the equity. Because like for me, when I was selling services, and I still do sell services for clients that I enjoy, where I have a very high effective hourly rate, but it's always like I always know that I have to sell my service for less than the value that it creates. Otherwise, there's no reason for someone to hire me if they were going to pay me all the upside. And that's where the mismatch comes. I'd rather own the asymmetric upside with my own list and be able to sell my own products. So that's where that comes from. And again, like where does exponential growth come from? Well, as your list grows and grows and grows, this is kind of what happens. As the list gets bigger over time, your revenue tends to go up. Again, not that list size is the most important thing. There's plenty of people who have big lists, but if you're building your list the right way and you have good offers and you have good quality traffic and you're very ruthless about list hygiene and creating a good relationship with your people, you tend to make more money. And that's just what I've seen. I mean, it's not a promise, it's not a revenue promise, right? I'm just saying in general, from the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients that I've worked with, this is kind of the trend that we see. So this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a simple system that's going to help you make a lot more sales from your list fast. I'm going to show you how to orient your business around your email list so you can stop doing a bunch of dumb shit every day and actually start making sales happen. So imagine, before we get into it, getting paid every time you hit send. And this is a reality. It sucks when you send an email and you hear crickets and you're like, damn, that didn't work. What the hell did I do wrong? It's very frustrating. Imagine if that didn't have to happen anymore. Imagine if you had more sales every single day, not just during your launches or your big promotions. What if you had your cash register ringing every day. And this is something super important for me because I used to be a freelancer who would get, 4 or 5 checks in a month. And then the other 25 days, I'd be like, damn, what can I do to make money today? Right? It's not the most fun thing in the world when you got to wait for those payments to hit and you're sweating, right? You can have a higher AOV because you know how to sell more effectively. You can have more profit margin in your business because again, you can't eat revenue, but you can eat profit. What if you never had to discount your products ever again, unless you wanted to, and you could still make sales? And this is a big pain point. With my agency, this is our main hook. We're like, we're going to make sales for you without you having to discount because we worked with a lot of e-commerce brands and they didn't think it was possible. And I was like, yeah, it's possible. You just got to write good copy and write really good emails that people like and they'll buy. You can generate passive income from your list via email automations where you set them up one time and they just crank out sales for you. And I've done this for tons of clients. I've done this for myself. There's days when I work for 20 minutes a day. I went golfing a couple weeks ago with a buddy of mine from high school. I woke up, I wrote my email, I hopped in the car, I golfed, I came back, I picked up my son from school, and that was my day. And is every day like this? No, but there's a lot of days like this when I'm like, I'm just going to write my email and that's all I'm going to do today. And that's what I do, especially in the summer. My kids are off from school. I'm taking them to the pool. We're going to the arcade. We're going to the trampoline park, whatever the hell it's called. You know, that's how I want to live my life. Predictable cash flow. Obviously, like if you can make sales from your list, you can kind of orchestrate whenever you want revenue to come in. You can build a secure, stable, reliable, and growing business. So let's get into the 5 steps. Let's just kind of, get into the meat and potatoes here. So, and guys, if you have questions, just put them in the Q&A. I'll get to, there will be Q&A at the end. I just want to kind of get through this stuff while, everyone's here, and then there will be the Q&A. And if you put it in the Q&A, I'll be able to answer at the end, and it'll be in the recording if you can't stay the whole time. Um, okay, so let's talk about offers versus funnels. So everyone talks about funnels. I love funnels. Funnels are super important. They're really, really cool. But I did not build my list around funnels. I did not build my business with the mindset of starting with a funnel. And maybe this is dumb. I don't know, but it's worked. It's been pretty successful. What I've found with a lot of people, especially like if you're kind of new or if you only have a list of like 2,000 people or so, and like you don't have that one funnel to rule them all where you could just pump an unlimited amount of traffic through and scale up to 8 figures, like not everyone does that. And I don't think you necessarily have to do that to find success. I definitely didn't start that way. I started by building a list and saying, I'm just going to create offers for my people. And that was the mindset that I had. I wasn't focused on like one super slick, super insane, crazy ass funnel. And some people do that, and that's cool. But I was not like world class at building products and everything else when I first started, and I would probably imagine you aren't as well. I always laugh when I see people, people post on Twitter, they'll post on LinkedIn, they'll, this crazy ass funnel map with 37 steps. And I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like you sound like a bit of a psychopath. Like I can't follow what's going on here. It's way too complex. And if you ever try to build one of those, you probably know the experience. You think you're a little bit crazy as you're doing it, right? My funnel is like so simple. I can explain it even if I'm drunk, right? Like Don Draper here. I grow my list and I write emails, and that's pretty much how it works. Um, I believe that simplicity scales and complexity doesn't, and there's a lot of business literature that kind of backs this up. I mean, if you've ever read the book The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, he talks about this. Like most things fall below the floor of what you should be focusing on. And, the quickest way to actually scale and grow is to stop doing those things and just focus on the stuff that does scale, which is going to be a simple model. Um, this page that you see right here, this pop-up, I've had probably at least 60,000 people in my life go through this page. And this is predominantly one of my most popular lead magnets. I think I came out with this book back in 2018, if I recall, 2017, 2018, something like that. And I've made millions of dollars from what you're seeing right here, right? This is like the stupidest, simplest squeeze page pop-up thing that you've ever seen. Hey, I'm going to give you a free book. It's going to teach you how to make money with email. And it's like crazy, when people are doing all this crazy bullshit, I'm just like, hey, you want to learn how to like write better emails? And people are like, yeah. And then there we go. They come onto my list and then I sell them stuff, right? Um, I use opt-in pages, squeeze pages, whatever you want to call them, lead magnet pages. And I also use low ticket products, which the difference between, a regular squeeze page or a lead magnet is usually that's a free offer. And a low ticket product is usually something someone pays for. So it could be a $7 product. It could be a $24 product. It could be a $49 product even, although you don't see those as often. But it's something, I've used a lot of low ticket products where I actually run ads. I pay, with my own money to advertise the product on Facebook or Insta or Twitter or wherever and get people to buy a product, and that's how they get onto my list. Once they're on my list, I send them daily emails. And then where do I send them to? I send them to offer pages. So those are sales pages, they're checkout pages. Sometimes they're, yeah, Google Docs. I've used a few of those. If you're in like the coaching world, you probably use those too. Doesn't really matter as long as there's some way to, present an offer and then accept people's money in exchange for the offer. And so pretty simple, right? Why does this work? Like I said, focusing on offers and your list instead of worrying about some picture perfect funnel, your business is still maturing. You probably don't have it all figured out, and that's okay. And this is one of those things that a lot of people aren't going to tell you. A lot of people are going to say, dude, you need a funnel. Dude, you need a funnel. It's nice if you have a funnel that works. And at some point, you probably will create that. But as your business is still maturing, you're still figuring out who you are and what you want to sell and what those offers are actually going to be that you could build a funnel around. You focus on building a list and creating a feedback loop with your audience. You need dialogue with people in your audience. And that's the big thing that I have done really well. If I could toot my own horn for a second, is I talk to so many people on my email list. They reply back to my emails. I've had calls with these people, whether they're from coaching programs or me just doing like market research calls with people. And I just find out what the problems are and say, oh, actually, I have a solution for that. Let me create an offer for that or a product for that. And then that's what I do. And what I do is something called the offer spiral, where, I send an email to my list every single day and I sell a handful of offers and I just rotate through those offers a few times a year to hit the revenue goal that I want to hit. For a lot of people also, in terms of, offers over funnels, you're probably still figuring out your traffic strategy. And a lot of people don't have a sound traffic strategy. I ask people all the time, I say, how are you getting, leads or subscribers or customers? And they're like, oh, I don't know, word of mouth. And I'm okay, well, word of mouth is cool. Don't get me wrong. I love word of mouth. It's awesome. But you can't really control word of mouth. I mean, you could influence it somewhat, but you need a traffic strategy. And for a lot of people, they don't know what their traffic strategy is. At the same time, different people want different levels of support. For me, I started my email list because I wanted to get clients because I knew as a freelancer, I was like, I don't ever want to have to lose a client and be like, oh shit, what do I do? I was building up my freelance business as a copywriter for 4 years before in 2017, I quit. June 16th, 2017 was my last day of teaching special ed in a public school ever. Haven't been back to the classroom since. I wanted to make sure that if I quit my job after my wife and I just bought our house and just got married, that I wasn't going to like lose my clients one day and be like, oh shit, I have no money. What do I do? So I'm like, well, I'm going to build an email list. And that way I'm never going to, a client is going to be one email away. All I have to do is send an email out, say I have availability, and boom, I can get a client. And that's the reality that I live in now. Matter of fact, I just mentioned a few times, twice in the last 2 weeks about how I'm taking on new clients. I've been inundated. I have like 5 clients I need to talk to right now. I don't even have time to do it, which is a good problem to have. And if you build a list, that can happen to you as well. At the same time, I believe that your best work is probably still ahead of you. And the funnel that you create, the picture perfect funnel that you're after, that you're questing after, that's probably not the thing you're going to sell for the rest of your life, right? So that's why I'm not too worried about any one individual funnel. It's just a tool. And the tool might serve me for a while, or it might not. I might use a tool for 2 years and say, you know what, this doesn't really serve me in the direction I want to take my business in. So I don't want to bet it all on one single funnel. I'd rather have a list and an audience of people who like me and like my stuff, that thousand true fans mindset. Like that's who I'm building for. I'm building for the people who like me and like my stuff and like the stuff that I talk about. And that's what I'm concerned about. And you're going to evolve over time. You don't think you are because you're living in the moment right now, but you're going to evolve. Your offers are going to change. You are going to change. The stuff that I'm talking about now is not the stuff that I was talking about 10 years ago. I mean, a few years back, I decided I wanted to become a world class at Twitter ads. So I started talking about Twitter ads. I even launched a separate newsletter for Twitter ads. And like, I was like, I need to explore this. It's interesting to me. It's exciting. It gives me energy when I think about it. So if I just had like one picture perfect funnel, it's like, well, you can't really kind of explore what you're interested in because if you color outside the lines, then you get in trouble, right? So in terms of like, offers over funnels. This is one of my clients, Dirty Dog Farms. They're awesome. They've been working with me as a private client for since last July. So what has it been? 14, 15 months. When we started, they had done 200K trailing 12 months. By the end of this year, we should be at a three, maybe a $4 million run rate. So they blew up pretty quickly. And we just advertise, we advertise. They do an Instagram reel a day to also help with organic traffic. And then they send an email a day and they have automations and things like that. And they just work the system. And Jesse and Josh are just absolute fantastic people, fantastic marketers, and they make fantastic beef, and you'll get a free freezer if you buy from them. So there's a little plug for them. But like this is the page that we advertise that we go to cold traffic with. It's reserve your half or whole beef share and get a free chest freezer. And you'll notice there's a little pop-up. Well, what's the point of this pop-up? The pop-up is to capture all the people who might not be ready to buy right off the bat. Once people opt in, either they buy and they become a customer and they join the list, or they opt into the pop-up. They get like 100 subscribers a day from this. And again, a lot of people, our goal is to sell the freezer, but if people don't buy that, we have other offers for them that might be a better fit, and we just sell them via email. So email kind of gives you that flexibility, which is nice. All right, second step, whale bait. So this is a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way over the years. But there's whales and there's minnows, right? And maybe you've heard this before. Drew Sanaki, who is the CEO of Postpilot, a friend of mine, like probably one of the smartest people I know. Dude's an absolute genius. Postpilot does postcards for e-commerce, and they just have like an incredible service, and I get a lot of my clients on there. Um, he was the first one to put this idea in my head of whales versus minnows, and you have a choice with your business. Like you can attract whales or you can attract minnows, and you've probably heard these stories about like some YouTuber who has a million subscribers, and then they launch a product and they get like 20 sales. It's like, well, you attracted a bunch of minnows instead of attracting a bunch of whales. And this is the thing that a lot of people get caught up in. They get caught up in vanity metrics. They get caught up in these raw, meaningless numbers like views or impressions. And like, these things are somewhat important. They are, objectively somewhat important. But what's more important is, are you attracting whales into your business? So like, what's actually going to make you money? Are you going to make money selling something for $5 or make money selling something for $5,000 or more? Probably something that's higher ticket. For most people, all roads kind of lead to higher ticket on a long enough timeline, whether that's, a higher ticket LTV versus a lot of repeat purchases, or if it's a higher LTV based on a higher average order value purchase, like, a coaching or consulting or services, or just a higher version experience or something like that. There's this great chart, and this is essentially what you're seeing here. I pulled this off of Google. This is about mobile gaming, but really this is kind of in every industry. Um, there's, the whales, the 1% of mobile gamers spend over $50 a month. And in terms of like, this is just a snapshot of one industry, but this is kind of consistent across most industries. There's people who are just going to spend a lot more than the lion's share of people down here who don't really spend anything at all. So a lot of people do is they focus on these small people who never want to buy anything or just like free stuff, and they don't focus on the whales who are going to actually spend money with the business. And this is super duper important for you to understand. Because again, like let's say your goal is to get to $1 million a year, and some people might be watching this, and maybe their business is at like 5 million a year, and they just have a big email list and they don't know what to do with it. And the logic here is kind of consistent. So just swap out the numbers depending on what your goal is. But when you think about how, like, everyone says, I want to make this much money, and cool, awesome. You can make however much money you want. You can make as many sales as you want. Like, it's up to you. I'm not going to determine what your ceiling is. You tell me what your ceiling is. I'm not going to tell you what your goal is or should be. That's kind of up to you. And you can kind of create, I believe you're the architect of your own reality. You can create whatever reality you want. So, but what people never do is they'll set these goals and they never break it down and say, okay, well, which offers are you going to sell to get there? If you have like a $7 low ticket product and you want to make $1 million a year, well, you got to sell a lot of $7 products to get there. It's like, well, do you have the volume? Maybe you have a YouTube channel with 5 million people. Maybe the volume's not an issue. Okay, cool. If that's the case, then have at it, right? But even then, I still think you're leaving money on the table because you're going after minnows instead of going after whales. So which offers are you going to sell? Right. For me, I like going after whales because I've recognized it's a lot easier to hit the numbers I want to hit by going after whales than going after minnows. How many times do you have to mail for each one of these offers, right? So maybe you have a $10,000 thing that you're selling. Let's say you send an email, you make one sale, or you have to send 5 emails to make one sale. Okay, well, then how many times do you have to mail throughout the year to make enough sales to hit your KPI for that offer, right? When are you going to send those emails and plan promos around that, right? Throughout the year. If you look at a year-long calendar, when are you slotting in these promotions and these emails specifically for that offer to build the P&L that you want to see? P&L means profit and loss for anyone who's like a super newbie, which is just an accounting term for, your revenue minus cost of goods sold minus OpEx equals net profit. How many other offers do you need to hit your goals? Maybe you could hit your goal of whatever it is with one offer. And if so, that's awesome. But for a lot of people, that's usually not the case. So maybe you need other offers to rotate through or other offers to send people to. And when are you going to send these emails, right? So a lot of this is just math. Like what I like to say is that every problem in business is a math problem. And if you're not hitting your goals, well, your math probably doesn't work, probably doesn't make any sense. So you just need to change the math. And it's kind of like algebra. It's like you change a couple variables and then you get a different outcome. So for me, here's like a snapshot of some of the stuff that I sell. And there's this saying, again, this is from Drew Sanaki, you grow your business by growing the number of whales. And it's a lot easier to grow by getting more whales than it is by getting more minnows. So for me, done for you clients, those projects can range anywhere from 5K to $36,000. Consulting, I have a private client program where it's mostly asynchronous. I communicate mostly with via voice memo, and it's $15,000 now, although I'll probably be raising it before the end of the year. So it's like, well, how many done for you and consulting clients do I need to get to hit my numbers? For coaching programs, those are usually between $1,000 and $5,000, depending on which program it is, length of time, blah, 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 whatever. And then I have a lot of digital products, which usually range anywhere from like $7 to $497. So I could look at this and say, okay, well, how many done for you clients do I want to take on in a year? How many consulting clients do I want? How many coaching cohorts do I want to run? In terms of digital products, okay, which products do I want to sell? When do I want to sell them? What kind of promos am I doing? Am I doing one promo a month? Am I doing two promos a month? How many emails am I going to send for each promo, right? People don't do this and they say, oh, I'm not growing. I'm like, well, you're not even looking at the math and you're not focused on like the numbers and the metrics that actually move the business forward. So of course nothing's happening. So I know this, like for some people, this might be kind of obvious, but I can't tell you how many people I've talked to and they just don't even think about it this way. And I'm like, I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I think this is kind of obvious. It's like, you kind of have to know, again, you can assemble your P&L any way you want it to look. So you just have to sit down with a pen and paper and say, what do I actually want this to look like? I think that if you build your business for high ticket, you can then downsell accordingly. So, like the stuff that I do, I know that not every single person who signs up for my list is going to be a whale, and that's okay. But I'm going to publish content that's going to be attractive to the whales. And then for everyone else who's along for the ride, I can just downsell them options that fit into their level of budget that they want to spend in order to solve the problems that I solve. So that's kind of how it works. So remember, you are allowed to assemble your P&L any way you want to. Very key, important point. Tracking. People don't track. They don't track anything. Maybe they'll have a yearly goal. I want to do this amount of revenue this year, and then like that's where their goal setting kind of drops off. Like, do you have quarterly goals, right? Like, are you tracking your revenue quarter over quarter, your profit quarter over quarter? For launch goals, I'm going to do a launch. How many sales do you want to make? I don't know. We'll see how many I make. Okay, well, you know, do you want to recruit affiliates? Do you need to pump up your traffic? Do you need to spend more on ads? Do you need to grow your list before that happens? Like, people don't do this stuff. I don't know. It's crazy. Average daily sales volume. It's like, well, if you want to hit $1 million a year, let's say you're going to need $2,800 in average daily sales volume. Are you tracking towards that? And maybe not, again, this is an average. It's not, one day you might make 4,000, next day you might make $100, right? So you have to look at the average daily sales volume and say, am I actually trending in the right direction to hit the metrics that I want to hit? And again, people do not do this. They don't know their numbers, number one. And if they do know their numbers, they don't pay attention to them every day. I look at my numbers every single day. I look at them every single day because again, like I'm running a business. I'm a CEO of a business. Yes, it's an email list. Yes, it's a part-time business, but it is a business nonetheless. Like this is how I feed my family and pay my mortgage and everything else. And you're probably in the same boat, I have to imagine, right? Are you tracking your email subscribers? Are they trending up? Are you tracking the number of customers you have? Are you tracking the number of whales that come into the business, either via leads and applications, inbound? Are you tracking the number of appointments that you've booked? Whatever numbers are important, you actually need to look at this stuff and track and say, well, if this is not on track, what do I got to do to get on track? And oftentimes the answer is to simply just send more emails. So in terms of whale bait, like this is one of the pieces of whale bait that I use, Cart Abandonment Annihilator. This is a product that I sell, and I used to run cold traffic to this for a while. I think I started this campaign in 2020 maybe, and ran it for about a year and a half, and it performed really well. And I got agency clients for this, and it was a low ticket product. And I said, well, I do this work for clients. Like this is one of the biggest things that most of my clients don't have. They don't have a cart abandonment sequence, and we install it, and instantly they start making more money and having sales come in every day. So I'm like, let's just package this thing up into a productized solution and sell it. And what happened was people bought it. They're like, wow, that really worked well. Hey, could you do the rest of my emails? Sure. It was very easy. It was whale bait, right? Another piece of whale bait. I wrote this book called The Moat: How to Build a Durable, Profitable E-commerce Brand That Can Last Forever. Who knows why I wrote this book? Why did I write this book? Why did I sit down and say, I'm going to write a book, a 155-page book? That's not an easy thing to do, right? Why did I take the time to sit down and write a book? Put it in the chat if you know. Who can take a wild guess why I decided to do that? Does anybody know? It's a mystery. Why would I do such a crazy thing? Exposure, lead gen to attract whales, whale bait. There we go. You know why? Because this book is a piece of whale bait, and book buyers do tend to be whales. That's correct. And you'll notice my original lead magnet that I showed you a couple slides ago, Make It Rain book, that is also a book. And books tend to be whale bait. Now, that's not the only piece of whale bait you could use, but in general, they do tend to be pieces of whale bait. So I'm not saying that everyone has to go and switch their opt into a book. You can, but I'm not saying that you have to. But these are just examples, right? Card Abandonment Annihilator was also whale bait, and that wasn't a book, right? So I'm looking for whales. I'm looking for people who have big problems, who want to spend big money to solve those problems, right? That's why I published this. Now, again, this is a paid thing, but a lot of people who came into my world because they found this book and then bought it. I actually, with another one of my books, Scale While You Sleep, which I don't have a slide here, I was on a call years ago with this woman and her husband. They had a $75 million a year business. She came, they had their Zoom camera on. It was nuts. She walks into the frame holding my book in her hand. I was like, we got it. We're gonna close this one. I was so pumped. Whale bait. Like I can't stress this enough. Like people are just like, I just need more subscribers or more leads or whatever, or more views or impressions. I'm like, yeah, that is true to a certain extent. You do need that, but you also do need to make sure that the people that you are attracting are actually going to want to spend money and copious amounts of money with you. Traffic is the easy part. And that's the thing. Like everyone's like, oh, traffic is so hard. Like traffic's really not that hard if you have a good offer. Like that's the big secret. Like there's all these platforms and guess what? They all work. Every single one of these platforms. I don't even know what some of these are. I don't even know what this is. But like you know, there's always someone in your market who's making a platform work. It really just comes down to how strong is your offer and does it get the right kind of people in your funnel and do the economics work, or excuse me, onto your list, and do the economics actually work in your favor? So when you're thinking about your front end offers, and this is something that everyone can do, look at, does it attract whales? Is it congruent with your back end offer? And this is super duper important. This is a lesson, again, I had to learn the hard way. Like the thing that you're advertising on the front end, or not advertising, but let's say you're posting on social. I'm just using advertising as shorthand here in this context. But is the thing that you're putting out congruent with what you ultimately want to sell on the back end? And if it's not, then you're going to need to change what your front end offer is. Is it easily understood? Is it different and unique? Is it profitable? Or can you get it close to break even? And again, this is more important if you're spending money on sponsorships or advertising and things like that. But does it actually make you money, or do the people who come in through that lead magnet never buy anything at all? Um, does it give you a high average order value? People come through, and does it give you high lifetime value? And again, if the answer is no to all of these questions, then you're probably going to need a new lead magnet. And if your list is not growing, you probably need a stronger front end offer because that is the portal into your world. So I know we just kind of touched on traffic, but you do need more traffic, and there's three types. I'm going to credit Alex Greenfield. I don't think she's here right now, but she's one of my private consulting clients I'm working with. Super smart, super savvy, direct-to-consumer DTC consultant, and I guess thought leader. She's just absolutely brilliant. But she did this post on Twitter a while back about three types of traffic. There's ads, which are like a purely mostly direct response type medium. Uh, Content, which is more like brand building stuff, which definitely has the purpose. And then she had Protect the Castle, which is partnerships. And what I found is that all of these work. Everything works. And that's what I'm saying. Everything works. What you have to figure out here with your business is what is going to work for you and your style. There are some people who are killers at Instagram or TikTok or like the short form video reels. They're just good at it. Like, and I see some of these people, I'm like, how do they make these videos? Like, they're so good, and like they're like addicting almost, right? I'm not that person. And I do some of that stuff because, again, I want to develop my skills. I'm like, oh, this is a challenge for me. Let me see, how it works and see if I could, become good at this. And I've had success with everything. I've tried everything out there. I've tried every single strategy there is to grow my list. And part of that is because, well, this is what I teach, so I need to know everything, right? And part of it is I'm always just curious and I love marketing, right? But you're going to have to determine what works best for you. And some people are just absolute killers at ads, and maybe that's all they're going to do. And that's totally fine. If you are a shark at running paid traffic, then do it. If you have great a great network and can leverage partnerships, that might be all you need to ever do. You might not ever have to do content or ads and just leverage partnerships. And I know people like this. They don't do anything. Their business is like invisible, and all they do are partnerships, through email swaps and affiliate things, and they crush it, right? So but these are the three buckets. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pick one of these as your, chief traffic source. And you could do all three, and I do all three. I have ads running, I do content, and I've been doing content since I started, and I do a lot more partnerships now than I ever have before, and I continuously do more. Here's an example of that because I want to show you like actual examples. Um, these are some ads that I ran or am running for to grow my own email list. Now, this is for a free lead magnet, this one right here, and this ad actually like crushes. It's actually kind of funny because I'm not like super good on video. I wish I was. You know, I'm kind of jealous of people who are really awesome at video. But I just took this like really awkward face to camera thing. I just went in my backyard and filmed this, and this ad just like crushed. I mean, we were spending like $350 a day on this for many, many months. We took it up to 500 to sort of breaking, so we had to turn it back down. But 350 seemed to be like the limit of where we could push it to. And that was 350 at break even, which is pretty badass. We were adding like tons of subscribers every single day. Um, but yeah, just me with my cell phone in my backyard for a lead magnet, right? And this is a tripwire product that I sell for an email template pack, or not tripwire, load ticket, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? So this is one of the ways that I've grown my list with ads. Content, brand building. Again, some people are like awesome at LinkedIn posts. Some people are awesome at reels and short form videos or TikToks or whatever you want to call them. Some people do YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I probably need to post more and I will get back on that eventually, but I've been posting on there for years. And I get a lot of subs from YouTube. And even though I haven't posted a video in months, I still get subs from YouTube. I get them all the time because I have tracking set up and I can see when these people come in. I'm like, this is great. A video that I posted 4 years ago is bringing me subscribers. And so this is what like this stuff compounds over time. But people don't do anything because I talk to people all the time. Like, what'd you do? What'd you do in the last 7 days to grow your list? Like, oh, nothing. I'm like, well, obviously your list isn't going to grow if you're not doing anything. You got to do something. And if you don't know what the right thing is for you, well, you got to try a few different things and see what you like best. I don't love YouTube, but I do it. I mean, there's some people out there who just like watch endless hours of YouTube. I got 3 kids. I don't got time to watch YouTube, but there's a lot of people who like it. And if you're really into YouTube and you love the medium, then absolutely go after it. Like, and just do it and use it to grow your list. Partnerships. So I'll show you like 3 examples. These could be affiliate things. Like here's an email from Matthew Kimberly, who's really super smart dude. I love his stuff. He's fantastic, Matthew Kimberly. Kieran Drew, this is you could see right here, he promoted my lead magnet. Now, why would he promote my lead magnet? Because I promoted his lead magnet. It's called a list swap. And honestly, if all you did was just do list swaps, you could build an enormous list with list swaps and you'd pay $0 to do that. And you would just, I mail for you, you mail for me. And here's another one here. I mailed for Jason Resnick, who again is another guy who is awesome. He has awesome stuff on email marketing. I love his stuff. So just some examples of what does a partnership look like? I don't want to just tell you the thing and be like, oh, go figure it out. Like, here's some examples, right? You can do list swaps, you can do affiliate stuff where someone's mailing and sending you traffic. There's a lot of things you could do. With partnerships in particular, there's this tweet that I saw years ago, and maybe other people have said this. I just Googled this and this is what came up. So maybe this is the first guy who like posted this. I don't know. But first-time founders are obsessed with products. Second-time founders are obsessed with distribution. When it comes to partnerships, this is where partnerships and list swaps and things like that really do shine. Because again, there's people out there who built huge audiences that you could partner up with, where they've gone through all the trouble of paying money for ads and taking the risk with their own money for advertising, or they've put in 10,000 hours of content to build their list, and they will send you subscribers if you send them subscribers too, or they will send you subscribers if you pay them a sponsorship fee, or they will send you subscribers if you give them an affiliate commission on your product. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of slice and dice the partnership thing, and something that I teach, obviously. But in terms of like, what does this actually look like? Well, in a real business context, and again, this is like big business context, but like Slack is a product that most people probably use, a software product. It's like a, messaging chat app. Saw this. This is from a few years ago, obviously. This is the last one that I could find, but they hit like 12 million users, and then Microsoft Teams, which launched, I guess, in 2017, hit 75 million users around the same time when they hit 12, right? They had distribution, right? And this is the important thing to realize with lists is like the internet is just one big collection of lists, and that's what you need to understand. Facebook has 3 billion people. That's a list. Facebook is a list. and you could rent their list by paying them for advertising, right? Other people have lists, like Jason Resnick, who I just showed you, who we did a list swap. He has a list, right? I can give him distribution. He can give me distribution. I can go to 50 people. I can go to one person a week every single year. I do list swaps all the time. And I could say, hey, I'll send you subscribers. If you send me subscribers, a rising tide lifts all ship. And we, each get some email subscribers with a $0 acquisition cost. And both of our businesses grow. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Hey, I got this. My buddy has this cool resource. I thought you might like it. Here you go. Check it out, right? Distribution. This is what's super important. And again, if you are good at getting your own distribution, like let's say you're a killer with short form video and you could just post an Instagram reel every day, like Jesse from Dirty Dog Farm is an absolute killer. This dude, he gets on camera and it's like tens of thousands or sometimes millions of views just show up. Like the dude just knows how to get distribution from the social networks. And again, if that's your superpower, awesome. Or if you want that to be your superpower and you're willing to do it, awesome. But like I said, everything kind of works, right? List swaps. When did the list swap happen on this graph? Who could tell me? When did the list swap happen? Right here. This is where it happened, right? This is what I'm talking about. Almost 400 subscribers in one day. And then we had a nice trickle in the second day of about, I don't know, 190, something like that, whatever it was. Um, you will grow your list faster when you start teaming up with people and using other people's distribution networks. Okay. So that's traffic. And again, there's a lot more I could say about traffic, but we got to keep moving. Send daily emails by hand. And this is the big thing, oh, it's AI. There's all this AI now. AI is the future. Oh, bro, you don't know, man. 6 months, 12 months tops. I'm telling you, bro. I've been hearing this for 3 years now. 6 months, bro. You have no idea what's coming, bro. Just wait. Just wait till ChatGPT 6. Just wait till ChatGPT 7. Just wait till ChatGPT 8. Okay, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's like when prophecy fails. I don't know if you guys have read that book. They just keep moving the goalposts, right? Rise of the machines. Oh, just wait. AI's coming. Okay, cool. Listen, I'm not anti-AI. I like AI. I use AI every day for stuff, for search, for, kicking ideas back and forth, for hey, I wrote this sales letter. Can you read the sales letter for me and tell me if I'm forgetting anything obvious that I should be including, right? It's a great tool. I love it. I use it all the time. But like for me, I just don't like writing with AI. And this is the guy, what's his name? David Simon, maybe, I think is the guy's name from the guy who wrote The Wire. He's like a famous screenwriter. Um, this was from a few years ago. He said, I don't think AI can remotely challenge what writers do at a fundamentally creative level. This guy who was interviewing him was like, but if you're trying to transition from scene 5 to scene 6 and you're stuck on the transition, you could imagine plugging that portion of the script into an AI and say, give me 10 ideas for how to transition. And he said, I'd rather put a gun in my mouth. I always laugh when I see this because that's how I feel with writing. That's how I feel about it. Like, yeah, I could write everything with AI. I'm not an idiot. I know how to do it. I got all the prompts, super secret prompts that are number 7 is so powerful, it should be illegal. Yeah, I get it. I get it. We all get it. Okay, we get it, right? But like the big thing with AI that no one's ever been able to answer for me and I've asked this question. I've asked this many times, and everyone's like, hey, bro, AI, bro, it's gonna change everything. Okay, cool. If AI was really so powerful, why are you not a billionaire yet? Why aren't you? Do you ever like stop and think? This is a skill called critical thinking that you guys are all, I'm exposing you to for the first time. Critical thinking, right? If it was so powerful, why are you not a billionaire? Like, what's your honest answer? Why aren't you a billionaire? Why aren't you at least like a deca millionaire yet? Right? If it's so powerful, oh, it's such a game changer, bro. Did you see that funny video with the cats on Facebook? No, I didn't. I don't care. I'm running a business, right? Writing is thinking, and that's what you have to understand. Tools are just tools. The pencil is a tool. It helps you write. Google Doc is a tool, helps you write. Typewriter is a tool, helps you write. Papyrus is a tool, helps you write. AI is a tool, helps you write if you want it to. But it's just thinking. It's just synthesizing thoughts if you give it thoughts to synthesize in the first place. What I found with email, and I write all my emails by hand, is people are craving connection, right? So a lot of mistakes that people make is that they use the same old pretty poster style emails like especially in the e-commerce world, you see this a lot, like these overly designed emails that are like, "Oh, we're having another flash sale. I know we've had a flash sale for the last 8 weeks, but now we're having another one." It's like, okay, well, that's cool. I'm gonna ignore these from now on, and only buy from you when you're offering a flash sale, and that's what a lot of e-commerce brands do. And It really kind of sucks because then they train their customers to only buy that way and they destroy their lists. And then good emails have soul. Like people can feel it. Like there's kind of this, I know this is like kind of woo-woo, but I'm just gonna say like there's this like energetic transfer that happens when you write like a really banger email that like just hits people in the feels. And I know because I've had this time and time again. Not every email I write is like this, obviously, but I've had a lot of emails where I wrote it and people are like, damn, I need to hear this today. Or like, man, this hit me really, really hard. Like, or some same thing just happened to me, and I totally understand. There's like that connection. Like, I don't know what the woo-woo exact science behind it is, but it's kind of happens. And if you've ever read like a really impactful, soulful email from someone, you've probably experienced this before. At the same time, like people like buying from people, not faceless brands and corporations. Like there's a lot of people that your customers can buy from. A lot of people besides you. Like, why are they going to buy from you? They're going to buy from you because they like you. And I believe that it's the only way to future-proof yourself is to kind of develop your own voice. And it doesn't mean you have to create a voice. You just have to let your own voice shine through. Now, why daily? Now, this is one of those things where I think it's important. I think what happens is it's kind of like a midwit bell curve here. There's a lot of people like, no, you shouldn't email every day. It's too much. And I'm like, well, the biggest brands in the world email daily. The biggest brands in the world email like 6 times a day. So are they doing it wrong? Like, probably not, right? And then the small, scrappy people who make a lot of money, an outsized amount of revenue compared to the size of the list, 10 email daily. And then it's all the kind of midwits in the middle who are like, no, it's too much. And I'm not saying you have to jump into email daily like tomorrow or today, but I think that that should be the ultimate goal that you eventually get to. And there's a lot of reasons why, but there's this great Scott Adams quote. He says, "Losers have goals and winners have systems." And I know I just got done talking about revenue goals, and like goals are cool, but if you just have goals and you don't have systems, you're kind of screwed. For me, like I know I wake up and I write an email every day, and that is my system. Okay. I can tweak that system if the system is not working. If I have a goal with no system, then I can't guarantee anything's going to happen. So you need to implement some kind of system. So for me, the most important thing that I could do is communicate with my audience and the people who like me and like hearing from me and like my content. That is the most important thing that I do every single day. If nothing else gets done, that gets done because that is the engine that drives my business. Okay? People say, well, I can't email daily. That's so much work. I have to create all this content. I have to create content. I have to light some candles and summon the muse to whisper inspiration in my ear. And, this magical process has to happen. It's like, what are you talking about? Just document what's going on in your life and in your business. You're not creating anything. I don't create much at all. I just document thoughts I'm having, or I document, hey, I was working with this client and this funny thing happened, or this really crazy experiment like worked out, and like here's what we did, and blah, blah, blah. And like that's all I'm doing. And why do I do this? Well, you guys probably watch or maybe you're familiar with these home flipping shows, and now there's like a million of these, and I don't even think the show's in the air anymore. They broke up and whatever. But Tarek and Christine over here. But like this is just one example. There's like I said, there's dozens, hundreds of these shows probably where these assholes they go and they flip houses, right? And I remember watching these shows, and I'm like, these fucking people, they get paid a lot of money to flip the house, and then they get paid a second time because all they do is they stare at a camera and say, "Today we're ripping up the floors, and we noticed that the wood is really bad underneath the floor, and now we need to go replace the wood." And then the foundation is shifting, so that's an unexpected expense that we had, and blah 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 blah, right? So what are they doing? They're doing the work once and they're getting paid twice. And that's all they're doing. And they make a lot of money from flipping, but they make probably even more money from having the show. And you could do the same thing with your email list, right? You're doing work every day. Let's say you're a coach. Let's say you are a SaaS founder. Let's say you are a brick and mortar store owner. Like you're doing stuff every single day in your life, in your business. There's always something to write about. It's really not that hard. 7 emails a week. Did 7 things happen to you in the past week? In 168 hours, did 7 things happen to you? I think 7 things probably happened to you. It's really not that hard to do. Here's an email I wrote. Now, is this the best email I've ever written? No, but I had lunch with David Deutsch. So you know what I wrote about? I wrote about me having lunch with David Deutsch. Look at that. There's no only 6 days left for this week of content that I have to write, right? And I said, hey, I had lunch with David. Here's some stuff we talked about. It was really, really fun. And by the way, you should buy this product if you have this problem. And there we go. There's an email. Here's another one. This is from Dirty Dog Farm. Again, I'm using them as and yeah, excuse me, as an example, just because we've been working so closely together, and I want to give them some kudos. And Josh from Dirty Dog Farm is like an incredible email writer. I've written zero of their emails. They write them all themselves, and Maybe I'll read some of this. Yesterday, I found myself doing a little research for my email, aka screwing around on Google looking at 80-year-old refrigerator and freezer ads to try and match the tone. And one thing I noticed was how proud companies were to offer so many different color options, like a dozen standard colors for a refrigerator, and this is a big selling point, which begs the question, what happened to colorful stuff? So again, I'm not going to read this entire thing. You guys can screenshot this if you want and read the whole email. But it's this funny ass email that he's exploring his own thoughts and just documenting, hey, I was searching stuff on Google and I wrote an entire email about it, right? And he's talking about how like everything, there's some lines in here. Why does corporate America have the design sensibility of a massively depressed Eastern Bloc urban planner trying to quickly rebuild a city after World War II? What was the point of winning the Cold War, which every action movie I watched as a kid made very clear was fundamentally a clash of colorful fun Americana versus bland Russo grayscale? If we just wound up with corporations inflicting their own brutalism via shareholder value, anti-color fiat on us, like excellent flavor, excellent tone, excellent voice, right? Like this is super high quality writing, and really like all their emails are great. But it's like he's selling beef, right? How do you make it interesting? How do you make it fun? How do you make it different? How do you make people like opening up your emails and continuously paying attention? Because you are in a war for your customers' attention, right? So you have to be better. You have to write better. You have to level up if you want to compete. If you just write chat GPT bullshit slop, you're going to get slop results. I don't think anyone here wants slop results, okay? You need to know how to write well. Again, sending daily is important, but if it's shit emails that you're sending, no one's going to buy anything. You've got to entertain, you've got to educate, you've got to inspire people. And that is what's going to get you outsized results from your list. Okay. I believe that you can 7x your sales daily email. I know this because I compete against people in, uh, you know, affiliate contests and other things. And there's people who email once a week and I email 7 times a week and I eat their lunch. I slaughter them because I have more volume. And by having more volume, by definition of averages, I have more above average content because I have more volume. Okay. The email flywheel starts to happen. You send daily emails, you start generating profit, and then you have cash to grow your list, which means now you have more subscribers to sell to, which means when you send your daily email, you're getting more profit, and then around and around and around the flywheel turns. Okay. Now, the one thing with daily email, I love it. I've been doing it since 2017. Some people, though, they're like, well, I kind of want to automate this, or at least automate it after a certain while. Most people, they try to automate from the beginning, and it's like, well, your emails aren't great, and you could automate it, but it's gonna like not do too well because your emails aren't great, right? So once you start writing daily emails and you really get into the groove, then writing automations is easy. And what I've done is I've taken a lot of my email broadcasts that I've sent as daily emails and just turned them into automations. So everyone's like, oh, I got to build all these automations. I'm like, my automations are built. All I have to do is assemble them. There's three types of sequences that you're going to use. There's your initiation sequence, which is your welcome sequence, which is what most people call it. I like to call it initiation sequence. I like to call it initiation sequence because I needed three I words, and initiation sounded better than welcome. There's intent sequences, which are sequences that get triggered when someone clicks a link and visits a product page and doesn't buy, and then you continuously follow up with them on that product until they buy. And I use these all the time, and they crush. They're so simple. And again, I just took daily emails that I wrote in the past and arranged them. I assembled them, set up a trigger link, and they just produce for me. And it's awesome. I have people going through 8 different products, well, not the same person, but like 8 different pockets of people going through 8 different promotions at the same time, making sales from 8 different products. It's incredible. It's awesome. I love automation. And there's infinity sequence. And your infinity sequence is not really an automation, but it's just you continuously writing daily emails and deepening the relationship with your people. Initiation intent sequences can create passive income and sales. Now, okay, disclaimer, passive income, I know. Listen, if you have good products and you've sent emails in the past that have sold those products and you have good leads coming in and you set up an automation that passively sells the product, then you're kind of making some passive sales. Okay. Again, I have a small list. My list is not huge. On average, these sequences generate 200 to 300 a day for my business. Now, could I generate more from automations? Yes, I can. And I'm always building more and more automations. But I have like 8 of these sequences, and I just every now and again I'll send traffic down them periodically when I want some passive sales to come in. And it's just a nice way to bump up my average daily sales volume. In addition to the daily email that I write, which also generates cash flow and helps me surface whale clients from deep down in the ocean of my list, the recesses of my list, up to the surface where they want to work with me. Now, the ultimate goal with everything that I'm showing here, or what I hope you're getting from this, is that you can operate your business with less chaos and more cash flow. And I feel like for most people, their business feels chaotic. It feels like you're doing a million different things and none of them are really working too well. And as a result, you're not making cash flow. I believe in essentialism. If you focus on one thing that you know is going to work and you put all your energy behind it, you're going to have less chaos and more cash flow. So if you are interested in that, I have a program, a coaching program, where I'm going to personally work with you to build a lean, high profit, low stress, one email a day style business. It's called Write Yourself Rich. Now, you might be wondering, is this program for me? Well, it might be. I think if that you're making less than 7 figures worth of revenue from your email list, it's probably for you. Or if you have an enormous business and you have a list of 400,000 people and you have no idea what to do with it, it's probably for you as well. But that's probably not many people who are on this training right now. Um, if you have an online business or an email list, it's probably a good fit. If you have an e-commerce brand, probably a good fit. I write emails the same for my own list as I do for e-commerce lists. And if you read the Carnivore Snacks emails, you can see that. Digital product creators, service providers, thought leaders or experts, coaches, consultants, and even if you have a SaaS or a tech company, I mean, email is email is email. If you have an email list, you need this program. Here's what we're going to cover in this program. The Write Yourself Rich system. So this is kind of a overarching view of how to set your business up, how to stop doing the stuff that is not making you money and start focusing and streamlining everything that you're doing to focus on list growth and sales from your email list. And a lot of people love this because they have way more time every single week, way more time every single day. They have more freedom. They have more mental bandwidth and focus and energy and enjoyment out of their day because they're not going in a million different directions. Module 2, how to write $1 million emails. So this is probably the most in-depth training that I've ever produced on my email writing process. And I have tons and tons and tons of examples, different industries, different hooks, different formulas, different frameworks, subject line formulas, story formulas, like everything that you need to turn you into an excellent email writer fast, right? If all you did was watch this module, you'd be able to write emails that make sales. I mean, it's super duper powerful. Module 3, mastering email software. A lot of people have no idea what they're doing in their email software. And this actually holds people back because, again, it's kind of like going into battle with a rifle that you don't know how to use. And if you are limited by your tech, you are never going to fully explore all of the revenue generating opportunities that are available to you. You're not going to be able to tap into automation effectively. You're not going to be able to understand your deliverability. You're not going to be able to understand, a lot of the things that make a good email program a good email program. So I actually take you into my email software and show you everything that I do on a daily basis in order to make my business run. And I think it's going to, if you ever felt like, oh, I'm not really sure what to do, what happens if I click this button? I cover all that. Module 4 is all about developing better front end offers and lead magnets. And again, like this is one of those things where if all you did was just get this piece right, you're going to get more subscribers. And like how much would it be worth it to get 2 to 3 times as many subscribers from the traffic that you're already getting? I mean, with a good lead magnet, you could do that. I've talked to people, they have horrible lead magnets and they get no email subs. So, and the email subs they do get don't ever convert. So, like, if you have this blocking money coming into your business and you just fix it, good things tend to happen. Module 5, write yourself rich case studies, templates, and email breakdowns. This is even more breakdowns and email ideas. And that's the number one thing that I hear from people is like, I just don't know what to write. Well, the reason you don't know what to write is because you probably have not surrounded yourself with good examples of what you should be writing. So this module is going to be a super deep dive into some of the best emails that I've seen, emails that I want you to see, emails that are going to inspire you and give you ideas. And you're going to see it and you're like, oh, I could write something like this. And you're going to sit down at your keyboard, you're going to write it, you're going to pump out an email, and you're going to make sales. And you're like, that was so easy. Module 6, advanced automation. Now, I know some people are asking if you don't have a list. I will get to that in 1 second. Module 6, advanced automation. I'm going to show you how to automate as much of your email as you want to. Now, some people like using a little bit of automation. Some people like using a lot of automation. Some people want to have everything fully automated. I'm going to show you how to do all that. I'm going to show you how to set up the sequences. I'm going to show you how to do the segments, how to do the visual automations. It's actually really not that hard. And you get to look over my shoulder as I set all of this stuff up and create automations that print money, right? They're going to convert for you. Again, because if you have good products and you have good traffic coming in and you have product market fit, you're going to be good to go. Module 7, how to 10x your email list. So this is a super deep dive into list growth, and we cover a lot of different strategies. And what's going to happen is I'm going to show you a little bit of everything. And then by the end of this, you're going to say, you know what, this one or two of these methods in particular speaks the most to me, and this is the thing I can have the most success with. And you're going to have an action plan to go out and start growing your list even faster. And we're going to cover the best things to do and the worst things to do. And we're going to show you how to accelerate your list growth. Because again, the only thing that kind of sucks when you have a small list is like you could be writing really good emails, but if your list is 1,000 people or 500 people and you're throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs with your emails and they're phenomenal, but no, only 500 people are seeing it, well, then you're kind of limited in terms of how many sales you can make. So obviously, if we just grow your list bigger and you just continuously do what you're doing with the good emails that you're writing, then you're probably going to make more sales. Module 8 is about living the one email a day lifestyle. Like, how do you actually turn this into a business? And a lot of other programs, they don't talk about this stuff. They don't talk about, okay, I have this funnel or I have this product or I have this system, but like, how do I actually turn this into a sustainable business where I could grow it and scale it bigger and bigger and bigger? People don't talk about this, and that's because a lot of people haven't actually done it. And not only have I done it for myself, I've done it for tons and tons of clients where we are email-based businesses, where that's what we are focused on. We're focused on growing the database and monetizing the database. It also comes with 8 weeks of live coaching with me. So there are 8 calls. The first one is going to start on Tuesday. And it's 8 calls with me. You could ask me anything you want. I could look at your lead magnets. I could look at your emails. We could talk about your list growth strategy. We could look at your offers. We could look at your business setup. We could look at your positioning. We could look at your copy. We could look at everything. We look at everything you want. All right. I'm going to be there for 8 weeks straight, helping you with whatever you need. And what I tell people with this program, even if it didn't have the coaching, I think it's super valuable. But if you can't make the calls for any reason, all you gotta do is send me an email. And that's the thing, like, I want you to get a good result. So if for like I had a doctor's appointment or I had an emergency or I'm in some weird time zone and I can't make it, I have people in every single time zone in this program. There's no time that I could do that works for everyone. Obviously, it's the way the earth works, right? It's kind of out of my control. But if you send me stuff and say, hey, Chris, here's the problem I'm experiencing. What would you do in this situation? Hey, Chris, here's my lead magnet. What do you think of it? Here's what I was thinking, blah, blah, blah. I'm there for you. Okay. Here's some proof that my stuff works. See this? See this right here? This is my print newsletter, Make It Rain Monthly. It's on Russell Brunson's desk. He posts this on his YouTube channel. I'm not just some random guy on the internet. I'm okay at this. I'm not too bad, right? I think I think maybe I've earned the right to teach you and educate you. If people like Russell Brunson are reading my stuff, I think it's, probably pretty smart for you too as well. Another thing too about Make It Rain Monthly, there's actually, and I don't mention this, but I probably should. I should probably add like a slide for this. But there's actually 10 issues of my $100 a month print newsletter that are scattered throughout the Write Yourself Rich program that you get access to as like another bonus, just supporting materials that I purchased. So like that bonus alone is worth more than the cost of the entire program, which we'll get to in a second. Here's some testimonials from people who've been through it. And I have a lot of these. I couldn't include them all, but this is from Tanner. He emailed me, said, not sure if you remember me, but I haven't sent out an offer since my $1,000 plus day in 4 days, 4 days into your email challenge. But I sent one out today. I've already made $3,000. I'm on day 16. So in 16 days, he made 4K. I think his list was about 1,200 people, maybe no, sorry, it was 1,000 people that he sent to. So very tiny list, $4,000 in 16 days. Just started emailing daily. Not bad. And since then, he's made more and more sales. And he started after he sent me this, he started working with me privately, and now we have a front end funnel going, and his list is growing. And now he's kicking ass. Rachel Soul. This week I sold 5 places under my course that's not even built yet, just from daily emails. So she started sending emails, said, I'm going to launch this thing. It's not ready yet, but if you'd like to buy it, you could buy it. 5 people bought it. There's some daily emails. Didn't even see the product yet, but they're like, yep, I like the idea, like what you're saying in your emails. I want to buy it. I want to buy it from you. Here's my money. Take it now, and then let me know when it's ready. The 30 minutes typing in the morning is more than worth it, almost addictive. And I think you're going to find the same thing. This is from Amber, who's a binge eating coach. Chris is one of the most engaging, funny, and effective writers out there. So when I saw his Write Yourself Rich course, I knew I wanted to learn from him. The live coaching portion of this course was truly invaluable to get his feedback on my copy for my funnel and my questions answered. One of his suggestions to tweak my offer led me to writing up a few emails with a special offer and selling out all 3 spots within 12 hours, which led to $7,500 in revenue. Since joining this course, I've stopped writing boring emails and no one wants to receive, and instead can use storytelling to a whole new level to write emails that not only my audience enjoys, but I enjoy writing too. And this is from Robin Murphy, who actually owns a brick and mortar house cleaning business, which again, I was like a little hesitant. I was like, I've done some brick and mortar, but not like a ton of it. Most of my people are online businesses, but she owns a house cleaning business and she started doing email the Write Yourself Rich way. I signed up for Write Yourself Rich because I was tired of second guessing every email I sent. I have a business with a strong mission, a loyal customer base, and a lot to say, but writing emails felt like a chore. They either sounded too stiff or too salesy. I knew I could do better. I just didn't know how. Then came Chris's class. I still remember the first email I rewrote using his framework. It was one day I'd already sent before and it totally flopped. I made just a few changes based on what I learned in Write Yourself Rich. And when I sent it again to a slightly different segment, people actually replied and signed up for services. There was no discount, no gimmick, just better storytelling and stronger structure. Chris's way of teaching that's clear and practical. No fluff, no endless theory, just smart strategy and actionable tools to help me write like a human and make money doing it. If you send emails for your business, this class will change the game. It did for me. And here's Ayla Holly, who has a direct consumer brand. As you can see, she sent me in some of her metrics. Her revenue skyrocketed. This was, I think, 18 days into her doing daily email. I mean, she has a very small list, but as you can see, a lot of green, a lot of metrics going up, a lot of revenue, huge increases. So what's the investment? Well, I used to offer a different coaching program that was 5,500 bucks, sold very successfully. It was on a different topic, but I want to make this super affordable, so I didn't want to charge 5,500. I think 3,000 is probably reasonable, but again, I still think that's too high. So 1997 is what a lot of people charge. You know, you go through a lot of these people's launch funnels and everything's always 1997. But even that, I was like, I want to make this so stupidly simple and easy of a decision for you to make that if you just send a few emails, you know you're going to get an ROI. So that's why it's only going to be one payment of 997. And I'm going to drop the link right now. Here's the link. Let me grab it, put it in the chat. Where is the chat function? I do have a special bonus. That is the link right there. We go back to the slideshow. There is a special bonus, which I will get to in a second, but there is more because there are some bonuses. So there's these bonus and there's another special bonus, which I'll get to in just a second. So I did include a bunch of bonuses that I think would help you become even more of an effective email marketer. There's the subject line masterclass, which is a deep dive into how I write subject lines that people can't ignore. There's even some guy on LinkedIn who actually likes to repost a lot of my emails because he loves the subject line so much, which is kind of funny. So I'm going to show you how to write subject lines that increase your opens and get more engagement. Seven Figure Secrets. This is a pretty cool bonus that I added, which was I took all the biggest lessons that I learned growing from, being a public school teacher, now having a seven-figure business. The biggest, epiphanies that I had and, hard fought lessons that I learned, things that you're probably going to have to experience and learn along your journey. And I put them into this recording. So super valuable stuff there. Segmentation masterclass. A lot of people that are like, how do I segment my list? Where do I even start? I'm going to make this very easy for you. I think it's like a half an hour video, and I just go through how I segment my list so that I can make maximum sales with the different audiences that I have as sub lists of my main list. Launch magic. So you're probably gonna do launches throughout the year. Most people do. Most people have online business are going to do launches. This is some of my best product launch, my sequences and things that I like to use to increase sales for launches. So I think this is probably valuable enough all on its own. But if you do product launches, this is probably gonna help you increase your sales. 365 email starter prompts. You no longer have the excuse that you don't know what to write. I'm going to give you 365 ideas, and you're just going to be able to pick whichever one speaks to you most and use that to write an entire email. So that at least covers you for the next year. And by the time you get to the end of that, you're going to be a pro. You'll be a pro before that, but you'll definitely be a pro by then too. The offer masterclass. A lot of people they don't know how to position their offers the right way, and that's why they don't make a lot of sales. And again, I want you to not just be a good email writer. I also want you to grow your list, but I also want you to have good things that people actually want to buy. So I'm going to show you my process that I use for launching and tweaking offers so that they sell really well. No product, no problem. There's some people who are starting out, or maybe they have a list and they don't really have any products yet, and they want to know how to make money from that list, even without products. So I think I covered 7 or 8 different methods that you could use to monetize your list if you have no products of your own, which is pretty cool. So again, really no excuse to not make sales from this. And then number 8, list launch. This is for all the people who said, well, I don't have a list yet. Well, I'm going to teach you how to get your first 100 subscribers in about 10 minutes flat. The funny thing is, everyone's like, I don't have a list. I'm like, you could have a list in 10 minutes, and then you have a list, and then you have a list for the rest of your life after that. It's really not that hard. You're going to make one. I'm going to give you a piece of copy, and you're going to take that piece of copy, and you're going to get email subscribers. I'm not going to really reveal much more than that, but it's super simple. It's brain dead simple. You really can't screw it up. Wait, there's even more. There is a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. I know you're going to love this, and I'm confident you're going to love it. And if you don't love it, you just tell me, and there's a refund. I mean, pretty straightforward, no conditions or anything. It's, yeah, whatever. again, I think you're gonna love it. So there you go. So here's everything you get. Again, I know there's some Q&A. I'll get to the Q&A, but the link is in the chat. I'm gonna pop it in here one more time just so you guys have it. Oh, the new fast action bonus. If you're one of the first 10 people who buy during this workshop, you're gonna get a free 30-minute one-on-one call from me. So it's only for the first 10 people. So and I have the timestamps, so I'll be able to go and check if you bought after I posted the link a few minutes ago. But once the webinar ends, that offer goes away, and it's only for the first 10 people. So if you're interested in grabbing a one-on-one call with me, in addition to everything else that you see here, in addition to the group coaching and everything else, then make sure you grab it now. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the Q&A here, and if you guys have questions, let me just go into this. Okay. What size list are we talking about? That was from early on. I don't remember exactly what that was in reference to, Scott. Just let me know. Terry said, you mentioned list hygiene. Please expand on this. I have a list of 6,200, but my unsubscribes are about equivalent to 80% of new subscribers, so my list is growing slowly but steadily. Will list hygiene help? That doesn't really sound like I mean, it might be a list hygiene problem, but it sounds more like you have a mismatch with your front end offer and then what's happening once people get onto your list. So I think there's probably a front end offer problem more so than a list hygiene problem, although list hygiene is probably related. How big of a list do you need to start? How do you grow your list? Cold outreach. Do not do cold outreach for your list. Do not do that. That's not going to work well. Again, I kind of cover traffic and how, three sources of traffic, whether you're doing ads to grow your list, whether you're doing content to grow your list, or whether you're using partnerships. And like I said, all those work. In terms of how big of a list you need to start, I mean, you need some kind of list. And a lot of people they're like, well, I want to have an email-based business, but I don't have a list. And it's like, well, at some point you're going to have to start. At some point you're going to have to say, I'm going to do this. And what's that saying? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So it's really up to you to decide if you actually want to do this and take this journey. I think it's worth it. Victor said, how would managing my clients' email marketing look like? The process I need to master, which days to send out campaigns, technical side of an ESP, the copywriting side. So essentially what you could do is take the process that I show you. I cover promo calendar planning. I cover all that stuff inside the program. You're just going to be executing for someone else instead of executing for yourself. But everything that I do to run my list is inside this program. What's the difference for you between consulting and coaching? Coaching is usually group. Consulting is usually one-on-one. Let's see. I don't have my email list. I want to start my list. Is this possible with this course? Yes, it is. Particularly because of the list launch bonus. Liz said, I'm just working through these here. There's another question. Okay, hold on. I'll get these questions in the chat too. Let me just take these other ones. This person said, how is this program different from Email Copy Academy? Email Copy Academy is mostly focused on becoming a freelance email copywriter. This is doing email for yourself. How often should I email my list? We covered that. What are the tools subscription required as part of this course? You're going to need an email software. I like ConvertKit or Kit, whatever it's called. You don't have to use that. That's what I use because I like it best. There's tons of them. But if you're not sure what to do and you want an easy one, ConvertKit's a pretty cool one. Oh, and you're going to need a way to obviously accept money. So you're going to need a credit card, shopping cart. So I use ThriveCart, but you could use whatever you want. I like ThriveCart because you pay one time and you own it forever. Liz said, I'm building a history education-based digital media company. I have a great lead gen platform, podcast, email list, virtual community, but I'm still figuring out what digital products I can develop for sale. So I don't really have products yet. Will this course help me at the startup stage, or should I wait for next time? I think it'll help. I mean, it's something we could always kick around. Like, there's lots of ways to monetize. In terms of launching products, in terms of charging sponsorship rates, and that's another thing too. Like when you have a list, like even like that's one of the ways that you can monetize your list, just sponsorships. People like your content. You could just charge advertisers to advertise uh, as a ride along ad in your newsletter. And there's, I mean, huge businesses have been built that way, like Morning Brew, The Hustle. There's all these newsletters where that's their entire model. They don't have any products at all. They just sell ad space and they make a ton of money. Do you need a ClickFunnels account? No. Um, you can if you want, but you don't need it. I bought your client acquisition book. I haven't read it all yet, but is it helpful for a freelancer like me who has zero experience and wants to cold outreach to ideal prospects on IG? The title of the book is How to Get Clients Without Cold Outreach. So I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know what you're asking. Okay, let me go to the chat here. There's some questions in the chat. Um, Katie said, will your system work if you don't want to send email every day, but more like once a week or so? I know math concept. What about unsubscribes? Okay. You don't have to send an email every day. I recommend you do, but you could like if you're at once a week and you can go to twice a week, and go to 3 times a week, and go to 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and maybe you're like, hey, 4 times a week is good for me. It's sustainable and enjoyable, and that's where I want to stay. That's totally fine. You're going to get benefits from sending more volume of email. Um, you're probably going to get to 4 or 5 times a week, and you're going to be like, oh, I want to do this every day. But we'll let that evolution happen naturally. But no, you don't need to immediately jump to daily. It's an option for you, but you can do daily-ish. In terms of unsubscribes, you're going to have unsubscribes whether you send emails or not. And what I mean by that is I've had days that I've missed where I haven't sent an email and I've still got unsubscribes that day. You're also going to have list attrition, which is like if you're not communicating with people, they're going to become cold. So the way I look at unsubscribes is like I'm not really trying to build an email list. I'm trying to build a buyer's list. So like free subscribers are cool, but what's really cool is having people who have paid you money and want to continue to pay you money. So like if someone unsubscribes, they're like, I don't want to pay you money. And okay, so why are you here? Why am I paying for you on my ESP? I'm paying your rent to hang out on my email list and not buy anything. So I would rather just get those people off. They're not going to buy anything. Um, let's see what else we got here. Let's see if there's anything else. Again, guys, put them in the Q&A just so I don't lose. There's a lot of stuff in the chat. Okay, let me go. Oh, wait, there's one more here. Unsubscriber terrific. If I'm not for them, they self-select to get off my list that I pay for them beyond. Exactly. Yeah, that's the mentality to have. Okay, what do we got here? Um, what do you think about Beehive? Beehive's cool. I had a Beehive. My advertising newsletter was on Beehive. I don't think their automation or segmentation is as good as ConvertKit, but they have a lot of other good things going for them. I love their squeeze pages. Um, so it's not a bad product at all. For what I do with the automation stuff, I just need something a little bit more robust, but Beehive's cool. Nothing wrong with Beehive. From starting this course, how long does it take for me to build 1,000 subscribers? It kind of depends. I can't give you a hard and fast answer exactly pinpoint a day for you. It just depends on how aggressive you are with your list building stuff. So it's kind of impossible for me to say. In the chat, should we have our own offers down pat before we buy, or can we experiment with building new offers with you? Yeah, like that's one of the things we could work on is like, okay, here's my business, here's what I talk about, here's the overall vibe of my list, and blah blah blah. Like, what would be some good things to sell? That's one of the things I talk about with people on the coaching calls. That's fair game as far as I'm concerned. So, and also too, like once you start sending more emails and you get more feedback from people, whether it's through surveys or people replying to your emails and things, like they'll kind of tell you like what they want to buy. We do cover that, how to elicit those responses in the course as well. Do you know what time on Tuesdays the weekly coaching call will be? It'll be noon Eastern time, New York City time. They'll all be recorded. Again, you could always send in questions beforehand and I could answer them on the call. Or if I don't get to them on the call, just film me a private Loom video and that's fine too. Will Write Yourself Rich be like the ones copywriting guru course where they only teach a few templates like DIC, PAS, NESB, or similar templates? I don't even know what those are. Sorry, but I'm a little skeptical because I speak from experience. No offense, G. Uh, well, I don't really know. I guess PAS is a problematic state solution. I don't really teach those. I mean, if you've read my emails for a while, I don't really follow that stuff. So no, I mean, I show you a lot of different examples, a lot of different frameworks you could use, and then show you how to customize everything. So, um, yeah, that's my answer. Are you using N8N/Zapier for advanced automation with your email list? I don't personally, just because a lot of stuff happens within ConvertKit, so I haven't really had a need to. Like for this workshop, we used a ConvertKit squeeze page. Sorry, no, we used a Webflow squeeze page hooked up to a ConvertKit form, and then we had to zap everything over to Zoom, which is why there were some issues. But I don't really use a ton of Zapier. I try to use as little Zapier as possible. Some people do more advanced stuff. Again, there's a lot of automation is a very deep topic, so I don't personally do a ton with that though. If I have no product, no email currently, what products? How am I going to add subscribers? Um, well, you could run ads, you could do content, or you could start doing partnerships or incentivize people to help you kickstart your list. Publish some YouTube videos on this that are free that you could watch. My list is 12,000 active. Majority of intent has been freebie seeking. I have a food/nutrition blog. I'd love to just mail daily and sell, but sometimes feel like the intent isn't there when I've tried in the past. Almost feels like I've squeezed the juice out of it. My goal would be to sell some low/mid ticket offers, but even more important, get high ticket coaching clients. Would changing up the front end offer combined with list growth and more targeted segmenting help here? How do you feel the course can help me here? Yeah. So the short answer is yeah, it definitely sounds like it. In terms of like, a lot of it is like with free content, it's always like, okay, what is the thing that people really want to pay for, right? I attract them with the free content, and then what is it that they really want to buy from me, right? Usually people don't want information, they want insight. So that's like, again, creating offers, it's probably beyond the scope of what I can cover here in this Q&A. But for a lot of people who sell any kind of expertise, usually you give information for free and you charge for insight. So as a general rule. So I'd have to see what your initial lead magnet is before, it's hard for me to diagnose it without seeing all the stuff in front of me and being able to pinpoint like, oh, you're saying this and you should be saying, XYZ or whatever. But in terms of the high ticket stuff, yeah, like there's always a subsection of your list who wants to pay more. There's 10% of your list who wants to pay 10 times more. It's just identifying who those people are. And there's a lot of ways you can do that via segmentation. You could even use things like right message. But you really just got to look at like, okay, what is the thing that I want to sell on the back end? And what is the piece of bait that I need to put on the hook on the front end to get those right kind of people in signing up through the door? As part of this course, can I have one email list for one affiliate marketing, another for trading stocks? I mean, yeah, you could build as many different businesses as you want. Although for most people, I'd recommend you focus on one list just because it's hard to ride two horses with one ass, and a lot of people kind of divert focus and then don't end up uh, getting any traction because they're putting 50% effort into each thing instead of 100% effort into one thing. Cool. What other questions do we have? Um, Let me know. I'll pop that link in one more time. I'm not sure how many of the 10 spots are left, if any at all. So if you're thinking about joining and you want that one-on-one call, make sure you grab it now. Let me know if there's any other questions. If not, we will wrap. Have you used any quiz funnels to grow your list? I haven't personally used quiz funnels. I've worked with clients where we've used quiz funnels. Quiz funnels can work. Like I said, everything works. It really just depends on like what is going to be best for attracting the right kind of people you want in your world, and then B, the traffic strategy that you're using. Um, yeah, so I mean, obviously they work. If you grew a list of 200,000 people, uh, like I said, everything works. Quiz funnels work. A lot of people have success with those. I just haven't personally used them for myself, so it's not something I really teach. But in terms of segmentation, that's something that I do teach and cover. Katie said, "How do we confirm so I schedule our call?" So what I'm going to do is after this, as soon as I log off, I'm going to go to the bathroom, eat lunch, and then I will reach out to you personally to schedule the one-on-one call with times and dates and things like that. But yeah, I'll reach out manually. Cindy's on it too. She's monitoring the inbox. So we could just flag all the people who bought during this webinar, the first 10 people for the one-on-one call, and we will get that scheduled. So I'll just reach out to you personally for that. Um, cool. Was there anything else? Another question came in. Let's see. Can you advise me on what to do? Read the client acquisition book because I need to acquire clients, buy a regular self-rich course regardless. Um, yeah, maybe you should read the book because you're asking me a question about a product you bought that you haven't used yet. So don't buy another one if you haven't used the last one. Stephanie said, looking forward to speaking with you, Chris. I'm signed up. Awesome. Super excited to work with you as well. Cool. Any other questions or should we wrap? What do you guys think? Did you guys learn something? I mean, are you, hopefully you guys get some value from this. I think it was pretty valuable, but always curious to know. Put it in the chat if you learned something. Let me know if you guys like this. I'm gonna pop the replay up too. And then that'll be on YouTube. I'll send a link out probably a little bit later on. The calls are Tuesdays at noon Eastern starting on the 14th, so it's next Tuesday. Noon Eastern, like New York City time, because I'm in New Jersey. Okay, cool. So again, I'll just give you one last chance. I don't know if there's any spots left for the 10 free, 30-minute one-on-one calls, but if so, that's the link and it needs to be in. I'll stay on for one more minute and so you can process and then I'll wrap it up. Um, cool. Alrighty, I'm going to close it down. Hope you guys have a good time, and hopefully I'll see you inside. Write yourself rich. Alrighty, later.